Welcome to Channel Chat Live 2025. If you haven't been to one of these events before, you're in for a great night. It's a fantastic event, and who's worried about the tube strikes? The channel has come out in force, so thank you so much for turning up. I have to also mention the sponsors. If we don't have sponsors sponsoring these events, we just won't be able to put them on. So a big thank you to Oliver Harvey-Jones from Arrowsphere, and also Martin Rutherford. Collaboration, sorry. And also Martin Rutherford from Checkpoint. Thank you. Also, a big thank you to Luke and Laura from Cameo. They're going to be our sponsors for our after party. So when the cameras stop, the conversations will continue, so please come along to those. And I know there's competitors in the room. I know there's competing businesses in the room. I know there's competing technologies in the room. But please come along to the after party. I know lots of people in the room. And one of the things that we want to get out of it, we want to make new partnerships tonight. We want to make new relationships. So if there's anyone that you don't know, please come and ask one of the Robertson & Sumner staff, and they will happily introduce you at the after party, which is at the Babel Beer, Babel Beer Cellar? Yeah, the Robertson & Sumner team will introduce you to that afterwards and follow the crowd there. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story because before I actually introduced the panel, who all accepted first time, which was great, actually this morning, Phil Gale, wherever he is, there he is, ducking, 5:30 this morning, texts me and says, Alistair's not coming. I was like, right. And it was a little message around about the lizard flying, etc., etc. And I texted him back. I said, he's got to come. He's got to come. Has to come. No, he definitely can't come. I said, I don't care what it is. Plane, train, Uber, we have to get him here. He sort of recoiled a bit. And luckily, Alistair's made the arduous journey to get here. So thank you, Alistair, for doing that. But actually topping that, Aine Rogers actually has come from Dublin to that. So people travelling all over the place to get here. So I really, really do appreciate from the bottom of my heart. I know it could have been an easy stop to cut out, drop out of the actual event. It's been raining. It was the tube strike, but you know, what a turnout. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for turning out. So we will go on to bringing out the panel. And I'd like to welcome to the stage Lyndsey Charlton, the CTO of O2 Daisy. Alistair Wildman, the GM of Northern Europe for Palo Alto and the Middle East. Neil Hall, the CEO of Focus Group.
I'm here.
Yes. And last but not least, Aine Rogers, the MD of SME for Cisco. How are we doing? Take a seat, take a seat.
And don't fall.
And don't fall, yeah. This is a bit more delicate.
It's leany.
Right, we'll go straight into it. The question that everyone wants to know, what's working best in 2025 when it comes to winning net new customers? So I'm going to come to you first, Neil. Net new customers, what's actually working for Focus Group?
Well, thank you for the invite, first of all. What's working? I think, well, it's a challenging market right now, but I think what's working now is what's worked for many, many years. And I think few people in the audience, I see many faces I know, but few of you will know a guy called Graham Spivey. He's not with us now, but he said something to me 20 years ago. He said, when you're trying to get into a customer, find out who's important, find out what's important to them, and deliver on what's important for them. And as a bonus, make them feel important. So I think if you're customer-led in 25, you're going to do well.
Great. Lyndsey?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think partnerships, and it's not just partnerships with the customer, it's your partnerships with other providers, you know, the partnership network that you've got, and working together on what you're going to bring for your customer. The other thing I think is being nailed on, laser focused on what you're doing, who you're selling it to, what they want and need. I think they, for me, are probably some of the few foundational things that make a difference.
Alistair, net new customers, partners, net new logos?
Yeah, so, I mean, you all read the newspaper every day about people, companies being attacked and hacked, and Marks and Spencer's, Jaguar Land Rover, Adidas, and you can keep going. I think right now in the cyber market, we've seen an incredible growth here, over 30% in the UK. And it's mainly because a lot of the decision makers actually didn't invest properly in the last few years, and they're actually catching up right now. So for us, it's not just the fact that the market's growing, it's the fact that there's probably a consolidation of the vendors in the market, which is happening right now, as you can see that. And customers really waking up and realizing they actually have to spend to defend. Like with what's happening with AI, and the attacks are getting so quick and so sophisticated, and then what the Russians are doing, the North Koreans are doing, everybody else is doing, we're finding that actually we got over 1,000 net new logos last year. And it's mainly because it's an area of spend. If you go to your board as a CIO and go, you know what, I really need to spend a little bit more on cyber because I'm worried about A, B, and C. If that board says no and something happens, so we're probably seeing the ripple effect of other activities outside of our control that are helping ourselves and our channel, grow the business.
Fear tactics, then.
Yeah, fear tactics, yeah.
Scare them into it. What about you, Anya?
For us, it's really about that customer obsession, customer centricity, and really differentiating with our partners. So it's that value, that day one selling of the value. So it's less about the product that we're delivering, but more about the service wrap. I think we've changed our conversations about what you're buying, but the value that it delivers, and truly understanding not just the customer needs, but the operating model and the operations of that business shifts the conversation to something different that we've seen. It's changing at pace, so we've had to keep up. But we're delighted that our channel partnerships are evolving as fast as technology trends need them to, and we're reaping the rewards from a net new logo perspective.
And I'll stay with you, Anya, actually. What is the biggest challenge your organisation is facing this year? Is it economic, talent, technology, or something else?
It's a combination of all. I suppose there's economic challenges, there's macroeconomic, there's global uncertainty, and absolutely the pace of innovation. I think anybody who's seen Cisco Live or listened to our Chief Product Officer, Jitu Patel, our biggest challenge is the pace of innovation. And it's not just keeping up, but it's keeping ahead of the trend. And I think if you wanted to listen to something that's really inspiring, it's his keynote from our recent Cisco Live in how Cisco are investing to not just keep up with that evolution, but be market leaders in that.
Neil, what about you? Biggest challenge?
Well, Focus Group have acquired 35 companies in the last 3-4 years. And there's some underpinnings to get fixed. So we're going through a huge change, new ERP system, new CRM, new order to fulfillment with ServiceNow. So getting those fundamentals right and platform right to be able to serve customers the best we possibly can, that's probably the biggest thing that we're doing right now.
Lyndsey, biggest challenge, economic, talent?
We have a very large merger on the go at the moment, so I think it's about it's a big challenge, but it's also a big opportunity. And so the biggest challenge is making sure we move at pace to get that done.
What about you, Alistair? Biggest challenge?
So I think two things for us, definitely. The first one is hiring. We need to hire, and we need to hire better quality people who really understand cyber and the customers. And then secondly, we've probably got too many partners. So we probably, I was talking to Phil about this on the way up here. We love all partners, but we need to really focus down. We manage too many partners, and 90% of our business is done by 5%. And we know that. And every year we say we're going to focus down, and guess what? By the end of the year, we've not done that. So I think it's hiring, continuing the growth, and focusing down on those partners that want to invest with us so we can help them grow profitable, good business.
I hope you don't mind me saying this, but telecoms, networking, security once was the exciting part of industry. Now it's sort of overshadowed by cloud and AI. How do you remain interesting and relevant? Alistair, I'll come back to you. How's Paolo going to be interesting?
I think you've just said it, though. So cloud AI needs security. It needs network. I mean, you think about the load that's going to go on that network through all those agents. How are you going to secure those agents? I mean, I know many of you in the audience are probably looking at building agentic agents. You're looking at how the whole area on AI is an unknown area. It's not secure. It needs more talent. It needs more power. So actually, the whole ecosystem is growing. So I think you're right. This is a really exciting area to be in. Infrastructure, networks, security is the place to be, because we don't have any big, large AI companies over here. They don't exist. They're not in this market. So we are basically downstream. We're taking downstream from the Americans. And what will happen now is that there'll be a big investment wave into AI, of course, with the likes of Salesforce, the likes of ServiceNow. All the consulting companies are going really hard into it. And that will just drive a refresh of technology and investment into security and the need for better localized infrastructure.
What about you, Lyndsey?
So I agree. I think that there's going to be a massive demand on the fundamental baseline of what you build that AI on top of in the cloud. So I think that the networks are going to grow. I also think that a lot of the products and services that we deliver will have the bolt-on add-ons that someone else is developing an AI product around. So you've got the ability to then, cross-sell, upsell into that customer base with the original, whether it's a UCAS solution or something else. So I think that the opportunity's doubly there for us.
Anya, what about you? Cisco, are they relevant? Are they interesting?
Well, we were laughing about this in the office earlier on. I'm looking at the gaming bus over there. A good analogy is, Zach Brown wouldn't go out and put a Formula One car on a dirt track, right? So if your network is not ready, if the foundations are not layered, it's not going to be success. And I think economically, money is tight, OPEX is tight. We need to guide these customers on the journey. There's great assessments there, AI assessments, network assessments, security assessments, and working with the channel on tapping into that to make sure that your day one spend is something that is going to really deliver value in the life cycle.
What about you, Neil?
I didn't think Anya was going to finish at that point. Look, I mean, at Focus Group, we're covering all of those areas, but hyper-focused on 10 to 500 employee-based customers. So that's pretty much where we operate. So whether it's mobile and IoT, voice and connectivity, IT, cyber, cloud, we're bringing that integrated offering to that customer base. But I'm going to try and pick up on your telecoms point, because I think that one was directed at me, or maybe Lyndsey. we have 30,000 customers in the UK, and if you talk to our specialist team in voice and ask them about what's exciting about the telecom space. Actually, how many people in the audience work in a company that's got customer service? Put your hand up. Customer service or salespeople? I'm pretty sure more people have got that. Come on, put them up. I think layering AI, conversational AI, over the top of your voice network so that you can understand the business insights that tell you who are your best customer service agents. Emotionally, how are they leaving the customer? How is the customer leaving that conversation? And to be able to see all of your customer agents, whether it's in sales, service, you could be looking at, are your sales teams selling more than one proposition? Are they talking about all the different propositions? Having that level of business insight and to be able to train and educate or exit people that aren't doing what you need to do is really, really powerful. So I think that's pretty exciting.
I often ask the audience, and I get some feedback around questions, and this question I saw from Stuart Fenton. He actually quoted it. I think Stuart's in the room somewhere, but I will quote him. He said, some would argue that AI will start a bonfire of white-collar workers. How is your organisation now reacting to incorporating AI, and are new roles being created fast as old ones are being disappeared? So, Anya.
Absolutely, and AI is so multifaceted in different areas. There's obviously new specialisms around analytics, ethics. When we look at agentic AI and all the efficiencies that Neil talks to, we still have to analyse that data and put in the efficiencies. I don't know a company out there that says if we get this much efficient and deliver the same revenue, we'll get rid of half the people. This is an augmentation and an addition and should be empowering our people. So I think it is about where we do bring efficiencies in areas and there's new skills required, it's our duty to reskill and upskill. To Neil's point, people will exit based on expectations and metrics that we need them to adhere to. But in general, the opportunity is still there. It's absolutely not to the detriment of the workforce.
Alistair, what about you? Bonfire of white-collar workers? Everyone worried about their jobs?
So my CEO was here a few months ago, and we did a round table with 15 CEOs. And the number one question that he got asked was, I have a 15-year-old son or daughter. What advice should I give them for the future? And the truth is that we don't know. And right now, we just don't know. So, I mean, we're not seeing it at the moment from Palo Alto perspective. Obviously, we're using AI within our products, and you expect us to do that. We're a Google shop, so we use like Notebook Element and Gemini to make ourselves more productive. We're running AI models across it, but we haven't stopped hiring. We haven't seen that kind of slowdown. I'm not too certain where it's going to go. So apologies, I can't answer that one in any more detail.
What about you, Lyndsey? Bonfire of white-collar workers? Everyone losing their jobs?
No, I don't. No, I think what will happen is you're able to, not so much retrain, because I actually think there's a lot of people who do work today that is very relevant for AI going forward. So if you think about people who are knowledge workers, those knowledge workers who are doing the day-to-day as well as creating the knowledge will become knowledge engineering resources. So I think they've already got foundational skills, but I do think we do need to educate people more because people are frightened of it because of all the media hype around it. So I think that people will evolve in the roles that they do today potentially. Maybe there'll be some extra roles put in place for things like governance, but actually when I look at our business, we're looking at an AI-first strategy. And to do that, we're like, oh, that team over there has this capability, we can use them. So we're already thinking about how we can retrain some people, repurpose them, expand the role they've got today, and therefore we'll be able to take on more workload, more business without having to recruit.
What about you, Neil? Focus group, how are they incorporating it?
Yeah, I think the bonfire kind of narrative misses the point a little bit. I think it's kind of, to Aine's point, it's about working alongside. That's why I guess Microsoft called it Copilot. But I had the chance in June to meet a guy called Geoffrey Hinton, who's deemed godfather of AI. Like he predicted it in the 70s, did a talk, had some time with him afterwards. So there was a question that we raised in the audience about, is this an existential crisis? And you might read his notes this week, you see him around talking about it. And he's very much of the belief that you put 1 billion people or 1 billion robots into the jobs market globally that all have multiple MBAs, that work 24/7, that are relatively free. That's going to cause some disruption. And where he talks about, this is him, not me, where he talks about it is the gap between the wealth and the people living in poverty is huge. And he talks about UBI and universal basic income and how that's going to have to be introduced into different countries. And it is a scary thought. It really is a scary thought. I think we asked him in private, maybe I shouldn't be saying this on camera, so we might we said, so if it's an existential crisis, what happens? Where do we go with this? And he talked about America, where the biggest gap, the biggest wealth gap, you get huge crime, and that's what he expects, that's what he foresees. He said, where do you go with this? And he said, well, you need to govern it. And I think it's one of the reasons why he left one of the firms that he was at previously. I'm being guarded now, recognizing I'm being on camera. But he said it has to be governed. And we said, well, the Russians and the Chinese are not going to want this to be governed. It's a race. It's an arms race. Everybody wants to be first. You hear the big American leaders want to be first. And he said something big has to happen. We said, what, like COVID? He went, yeah, times 10. You need something to happen to get world leaders to get together, to be able to come together and govern this, because he sees it that way. So there's many things out there, many concerns and risks and so forth. I think where we are as leaders are about, to Lyndsey's point, enable our people. I think people will lose their jobs if they're not open to AI. People with AI skills will take your jobs, not AI. In the short to medium term is kind of where I'm at. But I don't see more jobs being created than the ones that are being taken away. I guess that's probably the side of the fence that I sit on.
Let's move on to mergers and acquisitions. Recently, Boxy took over CAE. We're seeing consolidation in the market of the bar landscape. And Alistair, you almost mentioned you only want to work with sort of 5% of the partners you're working with now, which is squeezing out smaller partners. Is the top 10 just going to get bigger and the smaller partners are going to really, really struggle now to grow?
I think you've got to figure out what you're famous for, as a partner. There are some amazing small partners who are doing really well in the marketplace and growing really well because they've figured out what's their unique, what is their kind of like what they're famous for, where they're really adding amazing value, and the clients are adapting to it and they're growing. There are some big companies as well, big partners doing the same thing. For us, it's not that we don't want to work with lots of different people, we do, but it's just that they're the partners that are really showing up. They're investing in our technology, they're understanding what we do, they're getting close to us, they're coming in our office. We're kind of doing joint EBCs together, we're planning accounts together. They're keeping up with our innovation, so we keep buying companies. We've just bought Protect.ai, which is absolutely nailing it right now. We've got CyberArk coming in a few months, can afford future statement, so nothing on that I can mention. Television camera. That will be when it's signed off. So again, we know the partners that are in our office, we see them. They're investing. A lot of them are in the room here. Thank you very much. And it's about that. You put the effort in and you're going to gain that reward. It's the other partners who are kind of doing those odd deals where they might come across an opportunity, they find opportunity in SOC transformation or whatever it may be within the security stack, and they sell our technology. That's great, but it's not that deliberate. It's probably not that planned. And I think they're the partners that will probably struggle. So I think if you're investing, if you've got a purpose, if you know what you're famous for, if you really double down on that particular subject, you're going to do well in the marketplace because the market in my area is growing.
What about you, Lyndsey?
So I still think there's quite a big opportunity for lots of different providers out there, and especially in certain, I think in some markets as well, regional providers are quite popular. But I also think that with the larger providers, if I take Daisy for example, we have a partner business, so yes, we're a larger provider, but we still see real value in having a partner network, which are your smaller providers, and they just get to use some of the integration and the technology and the portals that we create for ourselves there, so that they're not having to invest a lot of that money. So I think that there's still an opportunity there to be had, and also it is a acquisitive market, and so I do still think there's an opportunity for partners, niche and just to leverage larger providers' resources.
What about you, Neil? You've worked for CC, large partner. You're working for a company now that's doing loads of acquisitions.
I think, Mike, I think you asked him a similar question last year, Mike Norris, my old boss. I say my old boss, I think he's always going to be my boss, but he answered pretty much the same as I think. I think get big or get niche. The big are going to create volume and scale and industrialization. If you stay relevant to your customers, you're going to be successful. And I think if you're niche, you can do things that the big providers can't do. And that's going to, if you want an exit which is higher multiples, then that's probably going to be differentiating. So I think, I would agree with him, get big or get niche.
Anya?
Yeah, I think big or niche, and niche in your target markets. Every customer has a different demand and a different preference to who they deal with and how they deal with them. So I think this stampede to the cloud offers smaller partners more agile business practices that don't have such IT-heavy reliance. So I still think in the SMB and mid-market space, there's a space for smaller agile partners. I do think service providers and MSPs will continue to accelerate, and as we see this consolidation through M&A, certainly in the last 12 months, it's massively exciting for the scale, to Alistair's point, to flip that 20/80 rule from our point of view, to see what more we can achieve. But I think that services wrap, that touch, and that segment that you're going after is going to be key to how you differentiate. I also think in an ecosystem outside of the big 10, there's massive opportunity for either consolidation, cooperation, or this co-competing, so to speak. So I think if we break down a few more barriers about who we partner with and why within the community, and I think every vendor channel team should be working with you on where those synergies meet, because it's mutually beneficial to everybody.
Neil, I'm going to ask you, you mentioned there, it's not AI going to take your jobs, it's AI people with skills going to take your jobs. Bit of a controversial subject, this. Ageism in the market. With the rapid tech change, are older professionals going to be left behind? Can they reskill effectively, or does their experience still remain a vital asset to your organisation?
I think it's about mindset. I think if you've got the right mindset, it doesn't matter how old you are whatsoever. I would say, though, that I think the government could do a lot more to help. I think we were 25th in the world in terms of future digital skills ready, like IMD report. That's incredible given how much education, universities we have. And if you look at the position that the Prime Minister's taken on being a superpower in AI, spending $2 billion on infrastructure and $1 billion on skills, it's a drop in the ocean. And I think if you look at the apprentice levy, $3 billion every year is not spent. So our companies all have to contribute to the apprentice levy. Why don't we open up and unlock that and focus all of that money, that $3 billion, plus the $3 billion that has been described, and focus on allowing companies like ours in the room to use training budgets and use effectively your apprentice levy on AI. I think being a super skill country we've got much better chance than being a superpower with all the infrastructure spend of some of the other parts of the G7 and so forth.
What about you, Lyndsey? Ageism in the market, is that a thing at the moment? Can we reskill?
I think you can reskill, and I agree. I think it is about your mindset. Some people don't want to, and they're the people who will get left behind. But I also think much more does need to be done on bringing in younger talent, a diverse younger talent into businesses, because I think that they're much more technically able They're able to pick things up a lot quicker, and the pace that we're moving at, I think we need a younger generation to help take us there faster, basically.
What about you, Alistair? Is experience still a vital asset to your business, or is AI going to take it out?
I think there's a couple of ways to look at this, and I'm going to give an example from when I was at Cisco. So at Cisco, I used to run an organization called CX, and I had 22,000 people in the team. And as the WebEx business was shrinking down naturally, because just through competition, we had a lot of people with service skills and customer success skills and support skills who were very, very great on the WebEx platform. And what we realized actually is that was really comparable to security skills. So we retrained thousands of people where security was growing and moved them over. It didn't really matter their age. We just knew that that particular skill base was not in demand as much. And that on the security side, which was growing, that was definitely in demand. So I don't really see it as an age thing. I think it as a mental thing. If you want to reskill and you're interested and you're curious and the companies offer you the right programs and the government's put the right money into it, I think that anyone at any age can reskill or gain skills, particularly now with where AI is going. And if we're all playing with it, we've got notebook LLMs open and we're Geminiing everything, and because and our kids come in and show us how to do it in 10 seconds. So I don't think it's an age thing. I think it's in your mind. And if you want to do it, you can do it, and the roles are open for you today.
What about you, Aine?
Yeah, I think we should flip the narrative that it's a liability, first of all. And I think the more that leaders in industry do that, the better able we will be to bring everyone on the journey. The best teams I've worked in and the best teams that I've led has had diversity of age and experience. And to Lyndsey's point, yes, from pace of change and technological perspective, the earlier in career are brilliant, but that critical thinking, that teamwork, that experience is so critical in diverse teams. So I think we need to do that, as well as offering the right skills path for that experience. I don't think we can't end up in a square peg round hole situation. To everybody's point, it has to make sense, or it doesn't. It's as simple as that in the new way that we're working.
Another controversial topic. I often get complained to by people in the channel when I'm recruiting for jobs. They're saying, are the top jobs in the channel circulated around the same people? Is it a bit of a closed shop? And can I actually get one of these top jobs? So, for example, if someone's in the outside industry, have they got no chance of getting into a leadership role? And leaders currently, are they circulating around the same people, and the same people are getting the top jobs in the vendors, resellers, and distributors in the UK? Neil, did you get lucky with your job, basically?
Well, I mean, fuck's sake, I was there 23 years.
Well finished.
I was there 23 years, so I think, I was allowed one move. But I think this question's for you. You're the guy that puts people, you're starting to punch above your weight. You're not just doing the volume. Yeah. You're now doing value-type jobs. I've seen you do some CEO jobs. So, what do you think about it?
I think it is. I think it is a bit of a closed shop. I think people don't really want to get people in from other sectors, even if they've got the skills. And also, as well, it's normally, when a top job comes out, there's normally 10 or 15 people that they've actually got an eye on already on that long list who they actually want. I get a lot of jobs, when I get a senior job, they might tell me the 4 or 5 names. So when I get complaints about this, I do find it hard to defend, because they might say to me, I'd like to apply for that job. It's like, no, you're going to no.
I think it's, investors are looking at more short term. Things are moving so quickly, and it's quite a risk to take somebody from a different industry and bring them into a senior sales role. I think from my perspective, and certainly this was a huge strength of Computer Centre, was growing people from within. And I think, it's the long game, but I think that's been certainly fruitful for the companies that I've worked for.
Aine, what about you? Is it a closed shop? Can people get into the industry at the top jobs, or even in distribution, getting into vendors?
Well, I got into England and I'm Irish, so broke that barrier. I agree with Neil. It is the pace of change, the expectations, and the delivery and proven track record. But I do think this could be a cusp of change as well. When we look at new ways of working, when we look at new technologies, when we look at AI and what the demands are going to deliver. I think it's on every board to be creative in their thought about who can deliver that for you. But again, when you're reporting to the street and to Wall Street or to your investors, you have to remain laser focused on a weighted gamble on who you're bringing in.
Lyndsey, what about you? Closed shop, or is it open to everyone?
I think more of a closed shop. I think it can be open to everyone, and it has been in Daisy in the past. When I worked in Daisy Corporate Services, we had a CEO and a CFO who were totally out of industry. So I think it can happen, but I think for the majority it doesn't. And I think that for me, it brought some really good new ways of working from a perspective point of view, from a corporate governance side of things. So I think it can bring benefits, but also in a world full of lots of acronyms, it takes those people some time to get to grips with it all, and it puts a lot of extra time and effort in on maybe the people who aren't from that industry. So I think it is a big challenge and a big jump to do that, so I think it'll stay closed for a while.
What about you, Alistair? You actually mentioned you're hiring aggressively, you're taking loads of people on. Is it a bit of a closed shop for the leaders if you're looking for them?
Yes and no. So let me answer it in two ways. So first of all, I lived in the States for 3 years. I think it's much more open over there. I really do. And it's much quicker as well. You know, the length in a role in the States is very short, let me tell you. If you are the Chief Revenue Officer, the average is actually 19 months at the moment. And you can look at it. You look at any company and just look at that Chief Revenue Officer role, they swap less than every 2 years. So I think in America, they're much more willing to take risk and take chance and move quickly around. And I don't think age really comes into it at all there. Over here, I do actually think it is a similar group of people that seem to move around the industry. I haven't seen many new people coming in. I have seen people coming in from other areas, from other geos, but again, they were already in with tech backgrounds. We hire across the board. I mean, we hire a lot of people from the military, from service, because they have particular backgrounds that are brilliant for cybersecurity. You know, they're security cleared, DV, so for us, definitely, we're very broad and wide because of the different types of roles. But yeah, I would say that in the UK, it does feel like it's a little bit more of a closed shop. Being in the States is completely different. It's totally different.
You might get loads of applications tonight now you've taken a ring, so wait for your LinkedIn box filled tomorrow. Right, that's the end of the first half. Please go and get some food. The caterers have come out, so please come back, and we'll come back in 15, 20 minutes for the second half. Thank you.